In this week's Torah portion, Korach, we read about the infamous rebellion led by Korach against Moshe and Aaron. It stands as a timeless example of conflict and division and the devastation they leave behind. Korach and his followers launched a challenge against Moshe's leadership and Aaron's appointment as Kohen Gadol, the high priest. To resolve the dispute and prove who was truly chosen by God, Korach and his followers were instructed to offer incense, a mixture of spices and fire. This act would clarify whom Hashem had sanctified. A divine fire consumed all 250 followers of Korach. Then the earth itself opened and swallowed Korach, Dasan, Aviram, and their families. As they were taken down, they cried out, Moshe emes, v'siraso emes. Moshe is true and his Torah is true. Amazingly, the very next day, the Jewish people began to complain, accusing Moshe and Aaron, you have killed the people of Hashem. How could this be? They had just witnessed undeniable miracles, the earth swallowing people alive, fire from heaven consuming the rebellious. They saw with their own eyes that Moshe had tried to stop the disaster. They heard the command that no one should imitate Korach's actions, and still they protested. What more did they expect from Moshe and Aaron? It was clear they were innocent. To better understand this, let's look at a similarly puzzling episode in the Talmud Sanhedrin 95. There, Hashem tells David HaMelech, King David, that he will not be the one to build the Holy Temple. The reason? He is blamed for several tragic events: the betrayal by Doeg HaEdomi, the massacre of the Kohanim in Nov, and the deaths of King Shaul and his sons. At first glance, this seems shockingly harsh. David, the sweet singer of Israel, the author of Psalms, treated like a criminal? He was the victim, not the aggressor. Doeg HaEdomi had pursued and slandered David. He was the one who told Shaul where David was hiding. He personally killed the Kohanim when Shaul's men refused, and King Shaul took his own life on the battlefield. So why is David blamed? And yet Hashem says to David, how long will this sin remain in your hands? This teaches us that Jewish leaders carry a profound responsibility. Even if they're innocent, even if they're persecuted and alone, they are still accountable to prevent harm and misfortune to the Jewish people. Even the guilty should not suffer needlessly. A leader must do more than lead. They must transform their environment. They must soften the hearts, influence character, and prevent tragedy before it strikes. The Talmud says that someone who wants to be truly pious, a chassid, should devote themselves to the laws of Nezikin, the civil laws regarding damages. Commentators explain that this doesn't just mean avoiding harm. A person who causes damage is wicked, a rasha, and one who doesn't is decent, but a chassid goes beyond that. A chassid isn't satisfied that he himself doesn't cause harm. He cares that no one else is harmed either. He sees responsibility for the well-being of others, even when he is not directly involved. That's why the people claimed, you killed the people of Hashem. As righteous as Moshe and Aaron were, the people felt they hadn't done enough to prevent Korach's downfall. To further affirm their roles, a new miracle was required. The staves blossomed with flowers and almonds. This sign showed that their leadership, Aharon and Moshe, were divinely chosen, and that the punishment of Korach was from God alone, not from Moshe and Aaron. Every tragedy in Israel, every heartbreak in Jewish homes, whether from intermarriage or missionary activity, should lead us to reflect. Even if we see ourselves as victims, we must ask whether we also bear some responsibility. As a reward for Aaron's suffering during the rebellion, Hashem gave the Kohanim the priestly gifts, including Truma. The Torah says, I have given you the safeguarding of my Trumos, of all the holy offerings of the children of Israel. The Haflah, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, in his Sefer Panim Yafos, asks a question. Truma is a gift from produce. Yet at this time in the desert, the Jews had no fields or crops. How could Hashem already be giving the Kohanim something that didn't yet exist? He answers with the halachic principle from Choshen Mishpat 209. If someone gives a gift of a real existing object, then they can simultaneously give something that doesn't yet exist. This is called dekel leperosav. Transferring ownership of a date tree includes the future fruit, avida da'aseh, fruit that will certainly be produced. So too, Hashem gave the Kohanim gifts now based on the offerings already being brought in the desert, with the understanding that trumos from future produce would follow. Many people dream of a utopia. They wait for the perfect ideals to appear someday in the future. But if we want to make those dreams real, we have to deal with the realities of today, the good and the bad. Otherwise, they're just fantasies. A davar shelo bo la'olam, things that don't yet exist and may never come. In Jewish life, we often have lofty visions of how the Jewish people should look and live, but we have to work with the Jews we actually have today. We don't have anybody else. Every Jew has potential. Every Jew is a dekel leperosav, a tree destined to bear fruit. If we reject the Jews of today, we're turning our ideals into empty dreams, visions that will never exist. Peace in Israel may seem like a davar shelo bo la'olam, but if the Arabs and the world were to truly accept the Jewish people's existence and rightful independence in Israel and especially Jerusalem, then peace would not be a dream. It would be avida da'aseh, something real and attainable. L'cha nisatim l'moshcha u'levanecha l'chok olam. I have given them to you for distinction and to your sons as an eternal portion. Shabbat Shalom.